One in the world. Do you know that there are 7.7 billion people in our population in the world? 7.7 billion with a B. And each and every one of you all these people, are different, unique. And God made each and every one of us for a purpose in this life. It was no accident. It was no mistake. God has a plan for each and every one of us. Okay, let me go back 1986, 1987. A gentleman that, Roy, you know this guy, Bob Clark. I always wanted to be like Bob Clark. I go, Bob Clark, Bob, I want to be like you. Bob, yes, he's still alive, 92 years of age. When I came to Brownsville, after being in the military, and after I graduated from college, the Lord called me into the ministry. It was a battle. Because you guys are going to have to forgive me if I always wanted to be tough. But forgive me if I cry. I was 8 years old to 9, so 2 years of my life. My father meeting my mom. My father used to drink. And I hated that. Until I'm going to make some cuts here. I had a good friend in high school. He was a great boxer. And he introduced me to boxing. And I was so excited that I wanted to go to the Olympics, 1976 Olympics. I began to fight all over the valley, from Brownsville all the way down to McAllen. I was very serious about boxing. I'm going to be a champion. I did not know the Lord back then. Well, my mom, when I told her that I was going into the Navy because that was the only way I will make it to the Olympics, before that, my father was going to beat my mom, and I stopped him. I go, you're not going to do that anymore. Hit me. Not my mom. Not my mom. And he hit me. I respect my dad. Mama hit me. And I think that really hurt my dad. Because from then on, he stopped. He stopped. And guess what? Many years later, you know who he got saved? And you know who baptized him in waters? That's right. Now, God was working all this time because my mom became a Christian, being a very religious person. She became a Christian. And she began to pray for all her children. 11, well, 10, but then she adopted one, so there were 11. Wow. And when I told my mom that I was going to the Navy, she said, yes, you can go, but here, take this, otherwise I will not let you go. And that was the Bible. And she began to pray and pray for me. But behind her, I was doing my boxing. Sometimes I would come home with a black eye, and they go, well, I felt like her. And I wanted to further this thing, so I joined the Navy. I became a good boxer in the Navy. I became a champion in the island of Ada, Alaska. They gave me a trophy. Then after that, I was in a destroyer. I told everybody it was not a love boat, it was a destroyer. And I made 2 tours, one to the Caribbean and one to Europe. And I kept boxing and kept winning. I ended up in Annapolis, the capital of Maryland, Washington, D.C. That was my last fight, and I won a trophy. But when I won my first trophy, I began to send pictures to my mom. And I was... Well, to me, I thought it was the worst mistake I made. Because she just began to pray even harder. So hard that God called me into the ministry when I was in the Navy. I told the Lord, it's during Vietnam era. I don't want to go to war. I want to come out in one piece. And I promise you, I will serve you. That was a promise I made. Well, guess what? I got out of the service and I forgot about that promise. I go, no, I'm going to become a businessman. My mom had a business and she was very successful. And I want to be like my mom. I want to be a businessman. So I went to college for 1 year, only 1 year. There, in the middle of changing classes in college, the Lord called me into the ministry. And he said, hey, remember that promise? And then the Holy Spirit said, you were willing to serve the armed forces. You were willing to give your life to the armed forces. And you don't want to give it to me, which I gave it to you. Oh my God. I lift my hands and go, I'm willing to serve. Got my seat back, and I'm going now to the Army of God Bible College. Never been married, still single, still looking. And I was shopping, I was doing all the shopping, but I quit doing that because I keep making mistakes with my girlfriends. I will kiss one and I will say, oh, I love you, Nancy. And it was Cindy, not Nancy. said to the Lord, Lord, I'm going to quit shopping. You bring it to me. After college, Bible college, I was serving in the church. And the pastor there, he was right here in Tyler, Texas. I came down here. I graduated from Waxahachie. Everybody know who Waxahachie is?
That's where I'm from.
Oh my, who's that? Oh my goodness. Oh boy. I graduated from there. And then they sent me to the capital of the roses. That's Tyler, Texas. Well, I married my wife. I'm 32 years of marriage, 3 kids.
Amen.
But let me go back to, real quick, to Bob Clark. When I came home, 1986, 87, Bob, he was, I believe he was the president at that time of the Full Gospel. And Bob is still alive, 92 years old. And he kept calling me every day. And I go, no, that's not for me. You know, I'm a pastor. That's not for me. And then he kept calling me, and I'm not exaggerating. He called me for about 30 days. He never gave up. Until I decided to join the Full Gospel. I liked it. I enjoyed it because it was about the same type of ministry I'm doing. Winning souls. Demas Chikari. He wanted to win souls through the businessman. And I liked it. And I want to share something here that I was blessed by Harold Woods. Came into my mind in Proverbs chapter 2. And about, say, God gives wisdom. If you read that Proverbs chapter 2, verse 6, it says, God gives wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Now listen to this. If you know these 3 principles, if everybody knows these 3 principles, you will be able to be successful in life in any career. But you need to understand those words. Let me put them in order. Knowledge, which means information, the Bible, information, theology of God. Understanding is very powerful. Understanding means comprehension. Comprehend. Do you know that the people in the flood, they were all destroyed because they did not understand the message of Noah. And they were lost. So if you know these 3 principles, you need to have knowledge, information, the Bible, the whole Bible, from the very beginning. Understanding, be able to comprehend it. And wisdom, you know what wisdom means? Wisdom means application. And that's what most of us miss it many times. We know it, we know the Word of God, but are you doing it? We know we're supposed to witness. Bible says, Jesus said, go, where? Into all the world. And preach the gospel to every creature. Start with your family. Remember Acts chapter 1, verse 8, but you shall receive power. Power of the 3rd person of the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. The Father is in heaven, the Son is with the Father, and he said, he sent the Holy Spirit for a reason. You shall receive power. When? When the Holy Spirit come upon you. But for what? And you shall be my witnesses. Where? In Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and until the end of the world. Lakeview, the end of the world. And I was blessed to the full gospel businessman, Bob. He kept insisting and insisting and insisting. And you know what? He introduced me to all the politicians in my city. That I began to give a Bible to every mayor of the city of Brownsville. Every time they were elected. And I'm talking about 10, up to maybe 10, maybe 12, up to this point. Since 1987. Not only that, through Bob, through a businessman, a president of a businessman, a chapter in Brownsville. He introduced me to all the politicians that I got connected. And over there we celebrate Charles Days every year. And they bring a movie star from Mexico to be the Mr. Amigo. And I've been doing it already for many years that I also give a Bible to Mr. Amigo. Full gospel businessman planted a seed in my life. And I want to encourage all of you, full gospel businessmen. His word will not return void. God has a plan. Continue doing what you're doing. And you will be mightily blessed. Okay, that was just the introduction.